what's on my mind. And today, what's on my mind is two weapons from Call of Duty World at War Zombies, specifically the Olympia and the M14. We're going to be looking at both of these weapons to determine which is worse and which you should use depending on your playstyle in Call of Duty World at War Zombies. Since this is completely objective, we're going to be looking at it with some math involved, basic statistics of each weapon, maybe getting a little bit more in depth, I don't know, we'll see where it goes. I have a little script written out that I've put some facts in to, see exactly what I'm going to be wanting to do with each of these, or at least explain about each of these, and I'll try to get the most information I can compacted into a short little video for you guys that you can hopefully watch and apply to your in-game strategies. And to be clear, we are looking at the unpack-a-punched versions of these weapons, as the better of the two that's determined in the end will inevitably be better either way. But to really understand which of these weapons is worse, first we kind of need to look at how zombies work in Call of Duty, and specifically their health. And as it turns out, zombies start out with 150 health at round 1, and until round 9, this increases by 100 for every round. After round 9, it's going to be multiplied by 1.1 or increased by 10%. Now that we know this, we can more accurately determine where these weapons fall off. We'll start with the shotgun, the Olympia, since it's a bit more complicated with it being a shotgun. You know, it shoots slugs, multiple bullets. The Olympia is a double-barreled shotgun, which means per magazine or reload it has 2 rounds that you can fire off. And what I learned is that zombies actually accounts for the multiple bullets held in each slug, and this means that we can determine the damage based off of that. With a quick search on the wiki, I know that each bullet does 80 damage, and there are 8 bullets per slug, so it has 80 times 8 damage per shot fired, which means it does 640 damage the minute you buy it. Both of these weapons are 500 off the wall, and you can usually find them around the same area where the player spawns depending on the map you're playing on. This guide is specifically going to be for those maps in which you can get them. I mean, obviously you're not going to want to get all the way to the mystery box and pick up, an Olympia. This being said, 640 damage for round 1 sounds like a lot of damage, but keep in mind that after round 6 or so, that's not going to be enough to one-shot an opponent. Now, one downside of this weapon is definitely its ammunition capacity. At any given time, it holds 40 shots. Let's say it has 38 in the reserve and 2 sitting in the barrel. That means you can only kill around 40 zombies if you're still one-shotting before you need to go off and buy more ammunition for this weapon, giving 60 points per kill in Call of Duty Zombies. That means that per 10 zombies you kill, you're going to get around enough money to go and get more ammunition for this weapon. So far good things. You're still making money. This is not, an anti-cash crop weapon. Now, this really does limit you, especially with it being a shotgun. You can only fire those 2 rounds off before you're forced to reload, which makes it kind of difficult after a certain amount of rounds to really get the most usefulness out of this weapon. I mean, if you're reloading all the time, rounds are going to take longer. And in my observations, there's no punch through with the weapon. You can't shoot one zombie and expect the bullet to go through and kill the one behind it. This could be a downside for some players, but not so much for others, as they'd want to get more money out of the kills by reserving their health and trying to whittle it down slower and slower. Now, it kind of gets a pit in your stomach after a certain amount of rounds when you're just sitting there reloading and reloading and you hear that distinctive click of empty ammunition. There's just that pit in your gut of, I'm fucked. This being said, I won't say this makes it a bad weapon. It just doesn't seem applicable after round 5 or 6, because the zombie's health is going to be too much for one bullet to even kill it. It's going to take a full reload to kill a single zombie. Now, moving on to the counter weapon that we're looking at today, the M14, I want to mention that there is no official damage recognition for this weapon that I could find. If anyone watching knows where this is, go ahead and put it in the comments below and I'll pin it. but I'm gonna have to determine what damage this weapon has in the output for myself. Now, we can look at some things that we definitely know. Just being a player, we know these things. Like the M14 has an 8-round magazine, and if you buy ammunition for it, it holds 96 rounds in reserve. Now that's a gigantic improvement from the Olympia. The way we can roughly get the damage, however, is by counting the shots it takes to kill a zombie depending on the round. So what I found is the M14 takes as many bullets to kill a zombie as the round it is plus 1. So if that's a little confusing, basically, if it's round 7, it'll take a full magazine of chest shots to kill a single zombie. But one thing this weapon carries above shotguns, however, and specifically the Olympia, is headshots. Landing a headshot with this weapon increases its damage by 150%. It rewards you on your aim, basically. This means that the M14 is capable of one-shotting with a headshot up until round 2 or 3, based on the math that I've just done. And I'm not really looking too hard into the math here, I'm just saying that you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck if you're headshotting these guys. And I would like to mention that if you headshot a zombie with a rifle like in Zombies, then when their head pops off, sometimes they'll walk around, and every couple of seconds or so they'll put some points back into your reserve for every second they're alive while they're bleeding out. And this lasts for a couple of seconds before eventually they're going to, die and fall on the ground. This weapon sports a pretty nice fire rate. Oh, hold on, I'm going to take a sip of my Arizona tea here. Not sponsored. Anyway, the M14 has a pretty nice fire rate, being able to empty a magazine in just a few seconds if you click in tempo. But if you can click in the right pattern, you're going to get this thing to empty its mag fairly quickly. And I think that from what we've learned from both of these weapons is we can safely determine that as starter weapons go, the M14 is a great starting weapon for somebody who's played zombies a little bit and has gotten over that, initial fear some of us sort of get of that stigma that comes with zombies. I know if you're a bit younger, as my audience might tend to be, who knows where this is going to turn. This is my first video, but it sort of helps. It helps those experienced players. They're going to be able to get more points. They're going to be able to calculate what they're doing with their plays. You could shoot a zombie twice on round 3 and knife him to get that extra little bit of money, and you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck out of this weapon. The Olympia is also a great early game weapon if you just look at it. Up until round 6, you're going to be killing these things with one shot, and there's not that many zombies hanging around at round, 1 through 5. You're going to be doing pretty good for yourself early game if you're using this, and you're not that good at zombies. So it's still a great weapon for those early rounds if you want to use it. And Pack-a-Punched, it's going to get a little bit more length out of it, but the M14 is going to get a lot more, depending on how experienced of a player you are. Now, I'm not the best. Even with the Pack-a-Punched M14 or the Amnesia, I can still only get to around 8, 10. I think my max is 15 with the Amnesia before I just run out of ammunition and I have to fucking kill myself. But they're both great weapons. Just determine which one you want to use for the early game based on you. Nobody's going to want to be using either of these weapons after like round 8. Let's be honest, you're not going to want to use a whole magazine from the M14, and you're definitely not going to be running out of ammunition 3 times before you finish a single round with the Olympia. So make your own discretion at this. I've just given you the facts that you need to do so. Fuck, I dropped my lighter. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please show your support by commenting and liking, and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. And thanks for listening to What's Been on My Mind.